What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of the Stay Strong, Stay You podcast. And listen, as always, I appreciate each and every single one of you, whether you've been rocking and rolling with me for a long time or this is your day one of discovering me, for taking time out of your day to hit play and be here with me. I hope you know that your presence is truly, truly a gift to me. So thank you for tuning in and listening. And I'm excited for today's episode. We are going to switch it up just ever so slightly as we are going to do a little bit of a fun like get to know you with some Q&A that people on TikTok gave me questions to ask, and I'm going to answer them for you guys. And I thought this was just going to be like a fun thing to do because in the previous episode, I brought forward a heavier topic of self harm. And if you or someone you know is struggling with self harm or to understand self harm more, I highly suggest that you go back and you tune into that episode and give it a listen. Share it with somebody who may need to understand more about self harm and hear from my journey of facing an addiction to self harm, but now celebrating 10 years self harm free. So, 10 out of 10 recommends you go over and listen and share it with somebody. And I also completely understand if you are not in the place where you can to listen to that right now, maybe bookmark it and save it for another time later down the road. But definitely go listen, and this will be a lighter episode that hopefully will just be a little bit of fun. But before we get there, I do just want to say two things. Number one, within the celebration station, we do not have anybody right now that submitted their wins. And that is okay. You know why that is okay? Is because number one, we are just getting the momentum going again as we are letting people know that the Stay Strong, Stay You podcast is back. So, it's going to take some time to grow a little bit, and that is okay. I'm okay with the own pace in which we are growing because we are still continuing to grow in so many different ways. So, I truly appreciate you guys being here. And if you don't know what the Celebration Station is, the Celebration Station is a place where you guys can be seen and celebrated for life wins. No matter how big or small, we celebrate all life wins because those small wins ultimately lead to the greater wins in the future. So I would love to celebrate you and a win that you have within your life, even if that is just simply getting up and getting out of bed, because sometimes when we're in hard and difficult seasons of life, sometimes just getting up and getting out of bed is a win. Sometimes, honestly, just surviving a day is a win. So, no matter what your win is, I would love to celebrate you. There is a link to submit your wins in the description of this podcast, as well as across all of my social media. The best place probably to go is Instagram. That is Becca Boston 26 over on IG. But do me a favor and go submit your wins, no matter how big or small. We celebrate them all. And I look forward to celebrating you guys in future episodes. Now, secondly, I just have to say that on this episode, I am being fueled by none other than Lotus Plant Energy. If you guys know me, you know that I absolutely love Lotus, and I have for a while. I've invested in them because for me, I had a problem of going to convenience stores or coffee shops, and let's just face it, that adds up over time. And I'm not gonna lie, I still love my energy drinks. I love that Lotus is plant-based, so it is a healthier alternative to most of the other energy drinks that are out there. But I also love the fact that I can make my own energy drinks with my own recipes at home. I can also have their ready-to-go cans and grab one of those if I have something going on later in the day and need to just take something with me. But if you guys don't know, Lotus is the #1 selling plant-based energy concentrate in the USA. Create a rainbow of handcrafted, flavor-infused plant-powered drinks with Lotus Plant Power concentrates, or grab one of their Lotus Plant Power ready-to-drink cans. Again, guys, I've had both and I love them both for different reasons. Love having those ready to go ones on the go, or love being able to make my energy drink at home with, again, a wide variety of different handcrafted recipes that you can make. So, for example, today I am drinking one that is with their purple lotus, along with desert pear, pine berry, white peach, and coconut milk as a topper. And let me just say, I 10 out of 10 recommend. I love this new recipe that I came up with, and I love being able to just also bounce ideas and recipes off of other people who make homemade energy drinks as well. So let me tell you again that the recipes are just like going forever. Like I don't know if you could run out of different flavors to make. So definitely go check Lotus out on their website and just see all that they have, because they have lemonade, they have tea, they have different flavors, they have ones with no caffeine, they have so many products that are absolutely amazing. So go over to their website, www.lotusplantpower.com. Again, that is www.lotusplantpower.com, and use discount code BeccaB10 for 10% off your order. One last time, that is www.lotusplantpower.com with discount code BeccaB10 for 10% off your next order. Cheers to Lotus Plant Power Energy. All right. As promised, we're going to do a little fun Q&A. I have taken the questions that people gave me on TikTok, and we're just going to jump right into them. I just wrote them on some paper and put them in a hat, and I'm just going to pull them out and do them with you guys. So let's see what our first question of the day is. What is the weirdest food combination you enjoy? What is the weirdest food combination I enjoy? Okay, I mean, if you know me, you know that there's one condiment in particular that I am in love with, and that is ketchup. I need to know if you are a ketchup lover or not. I need to find my people because I am a ketchup lover. Ketchup goes on ketchup. Like I love ketchup and have always loved ketchup for as long as I can remember, to be honest. The one that like the weirdest food combination that immediately comes to my mind is, and it's not even weird to me, but mac and cheese and ketchup. I love it. I don't know why. I just genuinely love ketchup and mac and cheese. I'm sure there's so many other weird combinations that I probably do, but honestly, they're not weird to me, and nothing else is coming to my mind. And I just know that I have some people in my life who, I don't want to say despise ketchup, but they think that ketchup only goes on like burgers and fries. Like that's it. And I'm here to say no, ketchup goes on a wide variety of different things, including mac and cheese. And yeah, I'm a big ketchup lover. So shout out to all my ketchup lovers out there. You know that they go on things other than just burgers and fries. All right. Let's move on to the next question. Are you an extrovert or an introvert? I would definitely say that I'm more of an extrovert. Here's how I put it though. I say that I'm extrovertedly independent because making friends and having conversations, that kind of comes all naturally to me. I've always kind of been somebody that's able to, go into a room and be able to start a conversation with people. Sorry, guys, we're getting into traffic hour and just a motorcycle just flying on by. Again, we will one day be out of this room and be recording podcasts elsewhere, but for right now, we are going with what we have. Anyways, but I say that I'm extrovertedly independent because I acknowledge that I'm good at meeting people and having, conversations with others and enjoy being in rooms with a lot of other people. However, I also need my quality me time. I need my own time to refill and refuel my cup to then be able to go out and kind of people again. So, a great example is honestly like this past weekend and where I am right now. So, like, last week I was at Tacoma Connect. Shout out to my Tacoma Connect crew. I was there, networking with a lot of different creatives, entrepreneurs, and leaders within Tacoma, and I love that environment. I absolutely love Tacoma Connect. It is the best networking event here in Tacoma, so I will be there as often as I can. So a shout out to the Tacoma Connect community. So I was at Tacoma Connect on like Wednesday. Friday, I went out to a barbecue with a lot of different friends from church. Shout out to Assembly. And then Saturday, I was at Tacoma Pride. all day long. Literally like 8 a.m. to like 7 p.m., something along those lines. Networking and peopling, and trust me, like all of those were so much fun. I had an amazing time at each like different event, whether it was Tacoma Connect, the barbecue with church, then going to Pride. Like I loved all of them, but today was a day where I was like, I can't people. Like I don't want to people. I don't want to be around people. I need to fuel my own cup. I just need to be with me today. So I say that I'm extrovertedly independent because I need these moments where I'm not peopling. So then I can have the energy to go people again. You know what I mean? All right, let's move on to the next question. Where would you be if you hadn't followed your dreams? Honestly, I think if I hadn't taken the step to move to Tacoma, I would probably still be a caregiver, probably with Larch Portland where I was. And don't get me wrong, shout out to Larch Portland. I absolutely love them and still fully support them. I just think I needed the opportunity, which I was given, thank God, to be able to step out of that and be able to fully step into being a speaker, being able to step into working for NAMI and being able to share my voice and all that I do within that organization as well. So I think I needed to step away and step into this chapter of my life, which I'm truly, truly grateful for. Obviously, I'm not fully where I want to be, but I am definitely not where I once was. And I am just really proud and thankful for the opportunity that God gave me to be able to just move here to Tacoma. And he definitely had a plan for me, and I am beyond thankful and grateful for that. But I think if I hadn't followed my heart and followed that dream in that moment to be able to step away from being a caregiver, I think I would still be in the world of being a caregiver. But I'm also grateful that I chose to step away because now I get to go back into caregiving communities and speak life into them with my Burn the Burnout presentation. And honestly, that has been really life-giving to still be able to be connected in some way to caregivers while doing it in a way that is life-giving to me. So I think, yeah, if I hadn't stepped away, I think I would still be a caregiver, which has its pros and cons looking back on it. Like, anyways, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. But anyways, next question. Favorite childhood movie? I'm not gonna lie, I laugh at this because I feel like number one, nobody's ever heard of this movie. So if you've heard of this movie, shout out to you. But I feel like one of my favorite childhood movies is one that I watched on repeat and one that my family probably never, ever, ever wants to watch again in their lifetime because of the amount of times that I watched it. But it's this movie called Simon Birch. I watched that, yeah, way too often. Not even gonna lie. I haven't watched it in years and years now. I do have it on DVD over here on my bookshelf, but um, I loved that movie. I also loved, not gonna lie, I was a big fan of Good Burger. Welcome to Good Burger, home with a Good Burger. Can I take your order, please? There were just so many lines of that I truly just found hysterical, found relatable the moment in which he was looking at important documents and just going, I know some of these words. I feel like that's me reading certain documents. I just found that movie to be hysterical and was just a really comforting movie for me. I was also a really big fan of Toy Story, all of the Toy Stories. So those would be probably the top three that come to my mind. I was never really a Disney princess person ever. There's some Disney princess movies that I still haven't watched, and I'm not gonna say which ones because I don't need y'all coming at me. But I was just never, yeah, I was never a really Disney princess person, except for Mulan. I will say I did love Mulan. It was probably the one Disney princessy movie that I really did enjoy. All right, next question. Who is the most influential person in your life and why? Who is the most influential person in your life and why? I would say the most influential, let me start, words are gonna word. The most influential person in my life is my mom. My mom has always been my biggest advocate and has always been there through the thick and the thin My whole family has, honestly, but my mom's taken it to the another level of really educating herself of what it was like to be a parent of a kid who has a learning disability, to, being able to, be there for me in sports. And I would say my mom would always ask questions. Like, she was the question asker. She would ask, like what felt like 962 questions at times, and I didn't fully understand it when I was younger, but now I have become that person. I feel like in so many different ways I've become my mom, in the most beautiful way, being the question asker now and seeing why she asked those questions and so many questions, because she was looking to gain an understanding, and there's no such thing as a dumb question as long as you are gaining an understanding. And not only that, but I always watched as my mom would journal in the morning and take time for herself. And again, I didn't fully understand it as a kid, but today, like, that's something that I really value in my relationship with God. So my mom is definitely the most influential person in my life and one of my best friends. So shout out to you, Mom. I love you more, no callbacks, which is a saying that she and I have. All right, next question. What did you want to be growing up? What did I want to be growing up? When I was very little, I wanted to be a train conductor. I had a passion for trains ever since I was really young. And my dad and I actually built a train set from scratch together. And we, really enjoyed building that train set. And I loved just anything about trains. I loved. And that led to me wanting to be a train conductor for some time, especially when we went on our very first train trip. We went from Philly down to Atlanta, on the sleeper car, and it was an amazing, amazing time as a child. And then just recently, at the age of 32, we kind of did a fun, like, redo of a trip on the West Coast. We went from Tacoma, Washington, and down to Oakland, and then we went from Oakland over to San Francisco. But it was really fun, honestly, to be able to recreate some of the memories that we made when I was, just in second or third grade. So, shout out to my dad. My dad is what I call my train boy, because that was our kind of nicknames for each other. He was train boy and I was train girl, but I definitely wanted to be a train conductor. There was also a time in my life where I wanted to be in the NBA, not the WNBA, the the NBA. Um, and I think this probably came from, like, primarily playing basketball with the guys. I went to a very small school where it was co-ed sports. And I wanted to make it to the NBA. I'm not gonna lie, like, I was a decent player. They called me Corver because I could make those threes and because I had a big love for Kyle Corver. But I there I was not gonna make it to the NBA, and I did not make it to the NBA. I think I later on realized that I had different passions. But yeah, being a train conductor and wanting to be in the NBA were two things that when I was younger I was like wanting to be. So I would say that I'm now the conductor to my own life. You could say that. All right, next question. What do you, wow, words are gonna word. I'm gonna be able to read. Dyslexic moment from a dyslexic. All right. Do you have a family tradition you love? Do I have a family tradition that I love? I mean, right now, my family is in two different states. We're kind of split up. Me and my middle sister are here in Tacoma, and then my oldest sister and my parents are in Houston. So I'd say traditions have definitely changed. I love the tradition that we've had going for more than a couple years now, where we all choose one person in the family to give to, and it rotates differently each year for Christmas. And then kids, anybody can give to. But I would say, looking back on my childhood, a tradition that I now look back on that I love, I don't know if I fully loved it as a kid, was we would give a gift of time to each person in our family. And that could be like me making my sisters lunches for a week. Or, my mom one year made my dad a pie for each month for a year. And it was just ways to like give to somebody in a way of giving your time that was meaningful or helpful to them. And again, I probably didn't value it as much when I was a kid, but looking back on it, I'm like, that was something special that, I now see the importance and beauty of it. So I would say that was definitely one thing that I loved. The other thing that's coming to my mind is we had heart-shaped bagels on Valentine's Day. That was always fun. And then the family tradition of going to the shore every weekend, every summer is just always going to be something that I cherish deeply because some of my core memories in life are from the shore house. So, those are some of the family traditions that just come to mind. I'm sure there's probably others, but yeah. Next question is, what's your go-to karaoke song? I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a go-to karaoke song. Can I be honest with you? Karaoke and being dyslexic is honestly, in my mind, something that I find truly hysterical because it doesn't matter how well I know this song. If you try to put the lyrics up, I'm going to then try to read the lyrics rather than sing the lyrics. It just does not work for my neurodivergent brain, and that is okay. That is why I don't usually do karaoke. If I had to pick one song, though, it would probably be Fight Song. But even then, I'm probably just gonna end up trying to read the lyrics. It just doesn't go well for this neurodivergent brain. So I do not have like a go-to karaoke song, but if I had to choose one, I would maybe say Fight Song. So. Anyways, next question. What is something you've always wanted to learn? What is something you've always wanted to learn? I'm not gonna lie, something I've always wanted to learn is a second language. And hear me out on this. Being dyslexic, learning a second language is really difficult. Actually, when I was in school, it was in my IEP and in my support system that I was exempt from taking a second language because English is hard enough. English is hard enough for this dyslexic over here. And taking a second language was just going to add too much on my plate. So I never took a second language. And I would love to be able to learn Spanish. And at the same time, it's still really hard for me. So if I could like just be given that gift, that would be great. And I know that I could if I really, really worked on it and made it a huge priority. I just haven't, to be honest. I just have to admit, like I haven't made it a priority. And it takes my brain so much brain power to be able to do it that I just haven't done it. But if I could learn anything, it would be a second language, and I would want that language to be Spanish. So, yeah, that's that. And your fun fact about me being exempt from taking a second language. All right, next question is, what is one thing you're working on inside of yourself? What is one thing you're working on inside of yourself? I'm only laughing at this because I'm like, there's a lot that I'm working on inside of myself. You know what I mean? Like, I am a beautiful, continued work in progress. I am always under construction. And I think that's beautiful because nobody ever gets to a place of perfection. In my perspective, I think even those who come off as perfect still have improvement somewhere within their life. What is something that I'm working inside of myself, though? I would say that I'm continuing to work on consistency and holding myself accountable to showing up even when I don't want to show up. I would say one other big area that I'm working on is being more direct. I have definitely come a long way within that, but for so long I was terrified of being direct. I was terrified in having boundaries because I was such a people pleaser. And I'm continuing to work on that. It's always a work in progress, but I've come so far. And for me, just being able to work on that directness while still being nice, is just an ongoing process for me. So those are some of the things that I'm continuing to work on while also making my health a priority. I recently, had a kidney infection, and then I got some crazy virus where it was like razor blade, sore throat, et cetera, et cetera. But even prior to that, like I just kind of lost sight of my fitness journey, and I've definitely gained weight, and I'm not necessarily embarrassed to say that. It is what it is. I chose to just make different choices, and I'm at where I'm at, and I take full responsibility for that. But I am continuing to just better my diet and include better and healthier choices by moving my body every single day, even just for 20 to 30 minutes. And let me just say, by making these changes again, like my blood work is going down again, very slowly seeing some weight loss come off. And it's just me having to remind myself that it's important to really fall in love with that delayed gratification, because I think so often we want that microwaved result of putting our whatever dream or goal that we have into the microwave, hitting 30 seconds, and bam, we want that result right away. But when you can fall in love with the delayed gratification, even if that delayed gratification is you reminding yourself that, yeah, you don't want to go to the gym right now, but you're going to feel so much better when you're done. Like that is huge. Um, so I think just being able to fall in love with that delayed gratification and fall in love with the journey is really important. And again, celebrating the small wins that you have within that, because the results aren't going to come right away. You got to put in the work and be patient throughout the process. So I'm just hopping back on that journey. And as hard as it's been at times, again, just celebrating myself when I do things that I didn't want to do, and holding myself accountable when the mood's not there, but still going anyways, and having that delayed gratification of like, this is why. This is why I go to the gym, because I feel better. This is why I eat healthier, because I feel better. So just being able to celebrate myself throughout that has been really good. So again, I'm always a work in progress and always under construction and not perfect. I don't have it all together, but you know, I think that's a beautiful thing about being human. So, anyways, moving on. Next question. How do you define success? And would you say you've achieved it? How do I define success, and would I say I have achieved it? I define success as discovering your own happiness and peace within inside of yourself. And I would say that I have achieved it within the fact that I've turned my hurt into my happiness. I've turned my pain into my power. I've turned the wounds into my wisdom, and I've come so far within discovering who I am and not allowing society's expectations or other people to change who I am, and staying true to me. And I would also say that as far as I've come, I'm still not exactly where I want to be. And I think that's beautiful, again, because, like we were saying earlier, you're always a work in progress. You're always under construction. So I would say that, yes, I've come so far. I would say that I have accomplished success in that way. And I would also just say, like, I am working, like, if we think of like the more stereotypical answer, I would say for some people would be like money and where they're at with their dreams. I would say, like, if we're talking about my dreams and where I'm at, I would say I'm on my way. I would say that I'm not where I was, but I'm not where I want to be. I've become an author, I've become a speaker that's been featured in LA Weekly. I have, spoken to thousands of kids at schools, and I'm on my way, and I'm at the same time not fully where I want to be. I would love to potentially one day be out on my own. I shouldn't even say potentially, I should say one day I will be out on my own, speaking and doing my own thing. And I'm looking forward to hitting different milestones and proving to myself that I am worthy of the further success that I want to see within that. And I'm also happy with where I'm at right now. And being able to just grow into that and looking forward to the future within that. But as far as my like most important definition of success, I see it as your happiness and your peace within inside of yourself, because I think that so often people look at happiness as an external thing when happiness is an inside job, because you have to discover what makes you happy. So often, I think we get caught up in these worlds of like, if you're in a relationship, you think you love that song that your partner introduced you to, but really you fell in love with it because they introduced it to you, or you're trying to please other people when in reality, like, stay true to the things that you love and that you like. So I would just say happiness is an inside and personal journey for you to discover within inside of yourself, along with peace. So, that's a journey and an ongoing journey as well. But I truly believe that, you know, there's an internal reward when you can be in the midst of chaos, but have the utmost peace within the moment. Like, that is a huge internal reward and success in my eyes. So that's that. It's like hard, I feel like, to like transition from question to question. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just gonna be real honest. Like, it feels like I'm just like abruptly ending it and like on to the next one. But that's okay. Anyways, let's get to the next question. I told you guys, I've told you guys that I'm not here to be perfect. I'm just here to be real. So y'all getting the real me. All right. Anyways, I like this question. If you could have dinner with two people, who would it be with and why? If you could have dinner with two people, who would it be with and why? Now, listen, I feel like most people are going to give you, two people that they idolize or really look up to. And I'm not trying to knock that at all, because I think there is power and beauty and wisdom within that. However, if I could have dinner with two people, who would it be and why? I am going to choose my 7-year-old self and my 70-year-old self, because who I am today is the inspiration to my 7-year-old self, and my 70-year-old self is the inspiration of who I want to become. So by all three of us sitting down and having dinner, we're about to just have a deep conversation about my life. Like, I feel like that would be so beautiful to do. And I know that's probably a different way to answer that question, but honestly, I would have dinner with my 7-year-old self and my 70-year-old self. I feel like it would be a beautiful conversation about where life has been, where we are now, and where we are going. So, yeah. All right, next question. What is your biggest pet peeve? If you know me, you already know my two biggest pet peeves. One of my biggest pet peeves is being called Becky. I am not a Becky. No offense to other Beckys out there, but it's just a personality that I'm not. Like, I am not a Becky. I'm a Becca or Rebecca or Beck. Like, I'm okay with those, but Becky? Oh my God, Becky, look at her butt. I'm not a Becky, I'm a Becca. My second biggest pet peeve is when people ask me, where in Boston are you from? I'm not from Boston. I've never lived in Boston. Boston is a great city. I visited, but Boston is my legal last name. So you guys would be shocked how many times I get that question, especially when I'm at airports. But it's become a pet peeve of mine. So those are my two biggest pet peeves in life. All right, next question. Where is your favorite vacation spot? I have not been in years, but my favorite vacation spot will forever and always be Normandy Beach, New Jersey, on the Jersey Shore. Yes, right down where they filmed Jersey Shore and Seaside Heights. However, I was there well before they started the show. My family had a beach house. You know what's interesting? This is so random, kind of like squirrel thought, but it's so interesting how on the East Coast people call it the shore, and over here people call it beach. Like anytime I say shore house, people are like, "Huh? Don't you mean beach house?" Like shore house, beach house, same thing, but different lingo. I don't know. Anyways, we had a shore house, a beach house, whichever you want to call it. Um, ever since prior to me being bored, we still have it kind of in our family. My aunt has it. But I grew up going there every weekend of every summer, and that is where a majority of my core memories come from, in a wide variety of different ways, and holds a very, very, very special place in my heart. So, Normandy Beach, New Jersey is my favorite vacation spot, and I need to go back sometime soon. All right, we got two more questions, and then we are finito. All right. Are you an early bird or a night owl? This is a funny question, kind of, because in my heart of hearts, I really wish I was more of an early bird. However, I think naturally I'm more of a night owl. I think I can sometimes be more productive and just enjoy staying up late at times. And not in the way of like partying, but just being productive, if you know what I mean. And then I usually do like to sleep in, but that's also because I'm a night owl, you know what I mean? But there's a time and a place that you need to be an early bird to get up. So like when I was a caregiver, I was definitely more of an early bird because that's the season in which I would get up and go to the gym before I went to work. And kind of made myself become an early bird where now that I'm not in that environment anymore, I feel like I've kind of gone back to my natural rhythm, and I definitely feel like I'm a little bit more of a night owl than an early bird. Inspiring to be an early bird person. All right, last and final question is what's the worst advice you were ever given? What's the worst advice I was ever given? I'm gonna have to say the thing that's only coming to my mind is I was told that in order to have more success, in order to be seen and be more successful, that I would have to throw on makeup and certain outfits to elevate my life. And thankfully, at that time, I had done so much internal work with inside of myself and rediscovered my tomboy self and who I was and seeing my heart and my character as my beauty rather than external things. Not that I don't think that I'm beautiful because I do think I'm beautiful on the outside, but also like I had to do a lot of internal work to also see the inner beauty of my heart and character, and then also seeing the external beauty with inside of myself, if that makes sense. So there was a lot of inner work that had to go on for me to be able to get to the point to recognize that there is no amount of makeup that can cover up an ugly heart. Point blank, period. And I just hope and pray that each and every single woman or even man, whoever's rocking the makeup, at the end of the day, I hope and pray that when you take off that makeup, you still see yourself as beautiful. Because makeup should be used to enhance your beauty, but it does not define your beauty. So I think the worst piece of advice that I was ever given was that you have to throw on makeup to be seen as beautiful or to succeed within this world. Your heart and your character are your beauty. And you can allow that to be seen and to shine brightly, my friend. And if they don't see your light, that's on them, not on you. Don't allow somebody else to dim your own light. Shine your beauty and shine your light. And if they can't see the light within inside of you, respectfully hand them sunglasses and you keep shining, my friend, because you are beautiful. So stay true to who you are, my friends. All right, well, that is the last and final question that we had. Shout out and thank you to all of you who are on my TikTok live with me, giving me these questions. I truly appreciate each and every single one of you. And, hopefully this was just a kind of a fun, more chill, get to know Becca Boston, not from Boston, type of episode. Again, I appreciate each and every single one of you for taking the time out of your day to spend time with me and just chill, answer these questions, and hopefully you learned something. But I would love to connect with you guys on Instagram or on social media. So Instagram is Becca Boston 26. And you can also follow me on TikTok, which is Becca Boston 6. But I'd love to hear from you guys. I'd love to hear if you learned anything, had any, funny thoughts, inspiring thoughts, wise, you learned something. I don't know. I don't know what you learned. But also, just love connecting with you guys in general. So let me know if you tapped in, and I look forward to connecting with you guys. If you guys could please, please, please do me a favor, just spread the word, share the news that the Stay Strong, Stay You podcast is back. And again, just a friendly reminder to submit your wins to Celebration Station. And I look forward to connecting with you guys and seeing you guys on the next episode. So with all that being said, always remember that you are one heck of a resilient warrior within this game of life, and that your strength is giving your pain a voice while receiving the help that you need and staying true to who you are. But no matter what, stay strong, stay you, because you got this.